Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 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 check.
All right, guys, I guess we'll go ahead and start. Mr. Soto did share that we would have some folks running a little late or not present today. So we're going to go ahead and call to order a work session of the Board of Trustees Harlandale. You know what? Actually, let me stop right there. If we can, guys, I know we had a very tough spring break, and we did lose a beloved member of our Harlandale family in Mr. Omar Leos. So if we can have a moment of silence prior to going forward with the meeting. So if you guys can indulge me, please. Thank you, everyone. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes, yes, Ms. Ortiz.
specific to Mr. Leos, I know it comes as no surprise to any member of this board or to any member of the community if they have a child in fine arts. I was just watching, and it's been hundreds of students or teachers or parents that are saying what an impact he had either on their life, their child's life, or in the community. And that goes from mariachi, theater arts, band. It's unbelievable the impact Mr. Leos had on these parents and children.
Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. I guess we can we'll continue to segue, and obviously as more information comes through, we'll share as needed. And moving on, a work session of the Board of Trustees of Harlandale ISD will be held today, Wednesday, March 19, 2025. 6:15 is now 6:19 p.m. Central Office, 102 Genovese, San Antonio, Texas. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call and recording of board members present, please. Voting's not open.
Did it?
All right, we can close the vote. I do declare a quorum present. It is now 6:20. Ms. Salazar should be on the way, and Mr. Mancha sends his regards. Unfortunately, he's unable to make tonight's meeting as well. So we'll go ahead and move to, and Ms. Salazar is here as well, so we have her here at 6:20 as well. So moving on to item C, recording superintendent and staff members present. Mr. Soto.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD Community. This evening, we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Mr. Flores.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
And we have our Public Information Director, Ms. Garza.
Here.
All right, thank you, sir. And I believe Ms. Juarez, no public comment at this time. All right, so we'll proceed to item 3. Oh, and also not joining us today is our conservator, Dr. Castleberry, but I believe she is on Zoom. She was not feeling well, so we send her well wishes and hope she recovers soon. So I apologize for omitting her there. Item 3, the board focused on student outcomes 80.5% of the time in February work session and regular board meeting. Again, kudos to my team and one another. Our colleagues are doing a great job in making sure we're putting the emphasis on student outcomes. So moving on to item 4, the board will conduct a work session with superintendent and staff. Item 5, the board will review and discuss information on donations to Harlandale ISD. Mr. Soto.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Flores will present this item.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Soto, Superintendent of Schools. Item number 5 is the donations to Harlandale ISD. We had one donation for the Special Education Department for the What's Next Symposium by HEB in the amount of $1,250. And this item will be brought to you for consideration and approval on Monday's board meeting.
Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this item? All right, well then we'll proceed. Is this going to be you for a couple?
Yes, I
Okay.
have item number 6 and 7.
Okay, so we'll go through, which is the item 6 is board review and discuss purchasing requisition for Dairy Farms of America through the purchasing co-op of Texas Food, estimated amount of 400,000. Are we already at that point, Mr. Soto, where we're buying milk again? That's a lot.
Yes.
So item 7, also the board review and discuss the RFB, and this is a separate piece, but 200-100 dash A sales surplus property for property located at 1502 Fitz Street, and authorizing the superintendent of schools to negotiate, finalize, and execute a sales contract with the Methodist Healthcare Ministries. So, Mr. Flores, if you can go with item 6 first.
Yes, sir. Yes, in accordance with the board policy CH local, this is a requisition over 50,000 and it's being brought for review and approval. The Child Nutrition Department, through the Child Nutrition Fund, is requesting approval of requisition for the purchase of food items through Dairy Farms of America, Region 20, Texas Food 20 Cooperative. For the procurement of the items. The requisition will allow the department to continue the meal operations for our students through the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. And at this time, we're recommending that the board approve the requisition in the amount of 400,000.
All right, any comments, concerns, or clarification needed with this item here? No? All right. So we'll proceed to item 7. Mr. Flores, if you may.
Yes, this item is being brought back to the board. The Board of Trustees declared the property located at 1502 Fifth Street as surplus property and has authorized the superintendent of schools to negotiate a sales contract with Methodist Healthcare Ministries. The original approval on September 16th of 2024 consisted of 1502 Fifth Street and a portion of 1610 Fifth Street as presented. Upon further review of RFB 200100-A and the terms and conditions of Methodist Healthcare Ministries and the current needs of the organization, Methodist Healthcare Ministries in the original bid specified an amount for 1502 Fitch and an amount for the portion of 1610 Fitch. At this time, administration is recommending that the district proceed with the sale of 1502 Fitch Street to Methodist Healthcare Ministries as presented. So just really negotiations within our legal counsel, their legal counsel, and their current needs. They're asking that they proceed with 1502 Fitch now. And in the contract, which you have a copy on your desk as well, they have asked for a 5-year right of refusal. In other words, if the district puts out the additional portion within the next 5 years, we would offer it to Methodist Healthcare Ministries first, and they would have a certain amount of days to let us know whether they want to proceed and buy it, or we would go out to the rest of to other bidders. So this item will be brought as well for Monday's board meeting.
All right, any comments, concerns, clarification needed on this item here? Mr. Resendez?
Yeah, just you guys are familiar with it. We talked about the adjustment. They want the building, not the field. But if they, in the future, we plan to sell the field, we give them the right of first refusal for 5 years, and they may take it, they may not. But it allows us the flexibility to sell it or to sell it to them, based on what our best interest is. And then so we are asking, because the original approval was for selling both, and technically we're only selling one. So that's why on Monday we're going to have you guys hopefully approve the new agreement, authorize the superintendent to finalize the agreement. And then we're also going to have a new resolution, because the old resolution to sell it had both properties, and we're only going to have one property. So that's kind of the status.
Okay. And I guess maybe to clarify, the portion of 1610 Fitch, what was that again? If I could.
So, yeah, so if you look on page 21 of the documents that I handed out to you guys, and we just got back, the attorney for the health ministries is finalizing their review of everything, but this should be pretty much final format, but they wanted it just a couple more days before Monday. So if you look at page 21, you'll see on the top right, it's outlined, marked and outlined. That's the part that we're selling. And then the whole field below, that's the part that we're giving them the right of first refusal. And that section, there's some parking spaces that they also wanted to have access to, but we determined we might need those right now. So down the road, if they ask, we'll decide then. But they did want the right of first refusal for the field. So that's kind of where we're at. But in talking to your administration, once this deal is done, y'all might right away try to sell that field, possibly, unless they need it. But that's kind of what the status is.
Okay, and I think that pretty much summarizes all the conditions and the requests that the team had.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question.
Yes, Ms. Reese.
So just to piggyback off of what Mr. Resendez said, so what's going to determine how soon we put it on the market if we are going to, or we hold on to it, or what could play a role in that decision?
Yeah, good question, Ms. Ruiz. As we set our plans about moving Avance over there, we need to sit down because at first we told them that they would not have that field because we're advertising to sell it. So we want to go back and meet with Avance and see if they are going to have any needs for that open space because it's going to be for our pre-K kiddos. But as you see, Columbia Heights, they do have that field and the playground in the center of their campus and it's gated. And one thing Avance does with federal dollars is they gate all their facilities as part of the stipulation for their funding. So what we can do is we can go back and meet with Avance and see if there's any need for that field and then come back to the board and report back to see what would be the next steps. If Avance really does truly need it, or if they say, you know what, we really don't need it, we're fine with the area that we have, and then let's see if what the board decides with that area.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? All right, sounds good. Then we'll proceed to the next item, which I believe these are all going to be Ms. Martinez, I'm assuming. So item 8 and 9 and 10, right?
Yes, sir.
Those will be yours, not
Yes, sir.
11?
Not 11.
Okay. So if you want, you can proceed with the ViewSonic interactive displays.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Soto. The ViewSonic interactive display encourages collaboration among students and teachers to share and engage in lessons. They can be used for professional development or serve as digital signage for an event or a meeting. They remotely cast information, such as a document, slideshow, or web page from an iPad, laptop, or tablet to share with any audience. The interactive displays modernize the classroom into an immersive learning environment, energizing and motivating students to make learning fun. Upon requesting quotes from multiple technology vendors, Intech Southwest provided the best value to the district at the lowest price. Their bid includes the purchase of the device, configuration, physical mounting in the classroom, network integration, testing, and deployment of each unit. Staff recommends that we purchase the 40 ViewSonic interactive displays from Intech Southwest at a cost of $123,825. Funding is from the campus and department budgets for technology support. The purchase will be made under contract number 23022 as part of the Region 20 Cooperative.
Any comments, concerns, or clarification on this one? Ms. Cavazos?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Martinez, where would these be? I mean, every campus, certain grade levels?
These 40 are being bought specifically by campuses for certain campuses. For example, they're going to McCullum High School, Harlandale Middle. Athletics is buying some for their use. The Carroll Bell Education Center, Schultz Elementary, Adams Elementary, and Frank Tejeda Academy.
And then my second question is, those campuses that are not purchasing them, is it because they don't need them or they don't have the funds in their campus budget to
Today.
purchase?
That is correct. They don't have the funds to purchase these today. We have bought these in the past. We have about 85 of them out there right now. And so this 40 will just add to the current. And the campuses and the principals, they've been buying them as they can afford them. And so they're gaining popularity out there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair? Ms. Martinez, speaking to the principals, correct? As you said, they're gaining popularity. We're going to have a district initiative besides these 40 for next budget year to get more of those campuses that didn't have the funding to buy some this year, correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct. We have an RFP out right now And so we, in fact, are having a walkthrough tomorrow where potential vendors will come in, look at a facility, and then price out what putting these in every classroom would cost the district. And so that the RFP is already out. And again, our walkthrough is tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be back next month to request the rest.
And Ms. Myrna, these are the 70-inch, the large ones?
We have the quotas out for either a 65-inch, and they measure diameter, or a 75-inch. And so we'll see what the price difference is. We are also looking to have them all mounted. That way they can just be fixed on the wall and not on wheels, because currently many of them are on wheels because they're shared between classrooms. And so if we buy them for everybody, that won't be necessary.
I have a quick question. Do these come with, if something happens to them, what happens?
We have, the RFP calls for a 10-year warranty on them. It's the first 5 years is cost-free. From 5 to 7, we're paying for a service call. And then from 7 to 10, we're paying for parts if necessary. Again, a reason to put them on the wall is because you set it and forget it, basically.
Yes, sir. Mr. Luna.
We had this funny because we went to training last week and it was brought up to these kiddos that are using their CT program or things like that, is that their argument against this technology is basically sometimes because now you're going to set them somewhere. Sometimes, depending on how many kids are in that classroom, like the angle that they are able to view what's going on. Because the thing with the projector is bigger, right? The projector screen's bigger.
Yes, they have a
And that's what we've been
100-inch
using in the
projector.
past.
Yes, yes, sir.
So it's like, I was wondering if with technology, can the kids somehow put it on their laptops as well as see it on the screen? Is that going to be possible?
So these, they do have the ability the teacher does have the ability to project. And so if whatever she is projecting could potentially also be on the student's device. If it's a lesson or if it's a worksheet that they're working on, it could be on the device. The nice thing about the boards that's different, there's two things that are very different from a projector, is a projector you see. With the board, you can actually interact with it. It's a touch screen. It's a big touch screen, which is, I think, real positive, especially for the younger students. And then the other thing is they're much brighter. And so we don't worry about, too much sun coming in or anything like that. It's basically like watching a giant TV.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Reese.
let me ask a question. Ms. Martinez, are these new purchases the same model as what's already in use currently in the classrooms?
Yes, that well, let me backtrack. Interactive boards have been around for many years, like 20 years. And so we have older units out there that are smart boards. We have older units out there that are Promethean boards. And then in the last year and a half or so, we've been buying the ViewSonics just because they were more affordable. They were a newer model. They do more, they do more and they look better and they sound better.
So is it safe to say that the newer ones are about 1.5 years?
Yes,
Okay.
at least within a year and a half.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, you had a question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I don't believe Ms. Casey is here, but will we be able to see how teachers are utilizing this in the classroom with one of the readiness standards that are going to be the students are working on at the McCollum High School or any one of the campuses that they're purchasing these at?
Can I answer? These are at the Carroll Bell Education Center. And so if you go and you look at the technology that they're using there, this is what they're using. So as the SOC, which is the Security Operating Center, this is what the students are using. It's also at the Duseum. So we've had them there since last summer when they first opened up. And so they are being utilized that way, and community members have been able to come and see, especially there at the Duseum. So
I guess let me clarify my question. How they're integrated into the classroom to increase student engagement.
Yes, we can provide an example. Just visiting Vestal, they're neck deep into some ViewSonics, so we can provide that example for you guys.
And I guess that would be a fair point because ultimately, and I know sometimes you're kind of going into it, but observing, it's like making sure that we maximize the potential because there's so much at their disposal. Because I do see a lot of people not utilizing it as a smart board or utilizing it as a tool rather than just a PowerPoint. And so that's where it's just like, oh man, you got to maximize it because this is a great tool to support our kids.
So
and-
oh, I'm sorry.
And then also the fact that, because I think you omitted the fact that you can log into it just automatically. So you don't need it to have it with you're mirroring it. Like you just log into your Gmail account and that's perfect. And then that way you can access your Gmail, your PowerPoints, all that stuff.
Correct, sir. That it's a computer. It is a computer.
Yes. So
That's
that
what it
way,
is.
and that's where hopefully too, and our teachers know that, oh, if power goes out, they're not like, oh man, freaking out, just do it old school. And so, because I know that happens sometimes with my staff where they're like, oh, the board's not working. Well, you can still, you can still teach.
So one of the things that we did include in the RFP is 4 days of training. And we've got those days marked down for 3 days before school starts and then 1 day after for teachers that are hired after the initial orientation that we do in the summer.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think hopefully, I'm sure you guys will see an integration, and that way our team, I don't think they've been able to visually see it. So I think that would be a benefit for us to get an idea of how it's integrated within supporting our students. And then also just to, like, I know there are some things that we share with Mr. Soto in terms of the size, just because that is a concern when we go in there and not so much in the more intimate classes, but like the big CT classes, that's where it's hard. If I'm here and the board's back there, it's kind of hard to see it. So, but it is a great tool, and I can't wait to have access for our staff on them. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this one? All right, moving on to the next item is the appropriate request to approve the purchase of managed internal broadband services from Intech. Ms. Martinez?
Yes, sir. Proposals for the purchase of managed internal broadband services were opened on February the 28th. The acceptance of this proposal will ensure that Harlandale ISD will be supported by a dedicated team of 7 engineers from Intech Southwest, each specializing in key areas of need. HISD will receive the highest level of Priority 1 support and service. This ensures that our requests are given priority and handled immediately by their expert team. Support services will include full support for updates and troubleshooting for our firewalls across all district locations, help desk after-hours support for ticketing and outage resolution, and this will be available to us 24/7, which is different than what we have now. Remote and on-site advanced network support services for all network equipment, including switches, access points, routers, servers, storage, networking, security, firewalls, antivirus, and imaging. The proposal outlines the comprehensive support and management services that will ensure that Harlandale ISD's network infrastructure remains robust, secure, and fully operational. Staff recommends that RFP number 250830 for the purchase of managed internal broadband services be awarded to Intech Southwest at the low bid cost of $69,310. Now, this is an E-rate eligible item. So USAC will pay 85% of that bill, or $58,913, and the district will pay the remaining 15%, which is a cost of $10,396 for the year. The award is contingent upon approval of the E-rate funding, and the funding for the district's cost is from the budgeted general fund designated for the district's obligation.
Any comments, concerns, or clarification you with this item with the broadband?
Mr.
Soto?
Chair, Ms. Martinez, can you educate the community and inform the board on why we couldn't buy some of those ViewSonics with E-rate money and we could buy broadband with E-rate money?
So E-rate, there's 2 different categories. There's a category 1, which is internal connections, which includes things like internet access, Wi-Fi, WAN services, or the dark fiber that we have. Category 2 is actually it's actually basic maintenance on the equipment that we buy. E-rate has, for 28 years now, supported districts up to basically the wall. It's never done end user devices. So we've never been able, it's not an eligible item to buy end user devices. And that's what the ViewSonics would be considered. Now, a few years ago, there was a special E-rate, it was called the Emergency Connectivity Fund that happened during COVID. And we were able to buy all those Chromebooks and iPads at the time, which were end user devices, but that was something that was completely, even though it was managed by USAC, it was completely different from E-rate.
Thank you for clarifying, ma'am. Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on any of this item? All right, we'll proceed to the next item, which I believe is still Ms. Martinez.
Yes, sir.
The purchase of 43 workstation desktops for career and technology high school classes.
Yes, sir. So the HPZ Workstation computer is a high-end desktop computer designed for technical and creative users. It's recommended for rendering with real-time ray tracing, 3D modeling and animation, virtual production, and is also equipped with a built-in AI. These computers meet the advanced graphic and processing speeds required to operate a career in technology software and programs in the graphic design and film school computer labs. These devices will ensure that the processing speed and graphic resolution align with industry standards, allowing for enhanced student experience as they prepare for industry-based certifications. These computers are more robust than the typical computers that we purchase, the typical PC. They come with enhanced specifications such as a faster CPU, more memory, increased storage, and the ability to withstand constant use. Like the ViewSonics boards, they modernize the classroom into an immersive learning environment, energizing and motivating the students to make learning fun. Upon requesting quotes from multiple technology vendors, Intech Southwest provided the lowest price. So staff recommends that we purchase the 43 HPZ workstations, and they are complete with the computer and monitors from Intech Southwest at a cost of $94,987. Funding is from the Career and Technology Department budget. The purchase will be made under contract number 23022 as part of the Region 20 Cooperative.
Any comments, concerns? Ms. Cavazos?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Martinez, is there going to be a classroom in our CTE building that will not be using these?
There are going to be several classrooms that are not using these. These are specific for the creative users. So the kids that are creating movies or generating videos and doing things like that. So it's not the career and technology classroom like the BIM classes that we had before, where we're learning how to type and
Or HVAC or anything like
correct,
that? Okay,
correct.
perfect.
This is specific for video creation.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese.
Ms. Martinez, how many bids came in for this product?
I believe there were 3, but we did post it. And I know through the bonfire, what happens is that it goes out to like over 1,000 different vendors that have an opportunity to bid. But if I remember correctly, there were about 3 or 4 that came in.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Martinez, for sharing all that information on all items.
Yes, sir.
And I guess we'll proceed to item 11. Is that also?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, Dr. Reynoso. The board will review and discuss the final payment of RL Road General Contracting Inc. for HISD Career Technology Education Building Project at the Carroll Bell Education Center in the amount of $102.18 to be funded from the Bond 2022 program. So Dr. Hinojosa?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. So for this particular item, we'll be asking for approval at the board meeting. This is the final payment for RL Road for the construction project renovation at the Carroll Bell Education Center for the CTE. So the construction started back in late August of 24, and we received the certificate of occupancy / completion from the city in February. So our students are fully immersed in using the facility, and all the labs have been certified and have been approved for use. And so we will be asking for that final payment come with the at the board meeting. And so along with that, with the savings, as you see that the projected budget was $5 million for the project, and it actually, once you consider the construction costs and also the furniture and equipment costs, it was under budget by approximately $1.3 million. And so with that, it allows us the opportunity to be able to apply those funds to our other projects that we have continuing going on, which is the arena or the Tejeda complexes, renovations, or also the stadium projects. And so with that, we will be providing an agenda item on Monday for consideration as well. But again, it's all because of the surplus funding that we have from the money we saved on the construction.
Ms. Cavazos?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Hinojosa, I know you've said this, I know it's on the agenda, but just so that the community can hear, where is this money to make that final payment coming from?
These are all bond projects from Bond 2022. So the proceeds that were set aside for that.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Luna.
Dr. Jones, just to clarify, we went to go visit the opening. Was those vents already complete then as well?
For the welding lab, the
Yes.
exhaust, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
So that shortly thereafter, those were they passed the inspection. So part of the final inspection or the certificate of completion that we get from the city, all of those were all the permits were signed off on.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments, concerns, or clarification? Mr. Soto?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, just to reiterate also, this was one of our repurposed campuses, if y'all remember correctly. So we had set aside 20 million in the original community bond when we went out. And so in essence, we have 20 million. We spent less than 4 million. And so basically we're going to have ourselves 16 million on bond that we can do future projects here at Harlandale. In essence, our next couple of drawdowns, there'll be that 16 million from the money we saved on repurposing Carol Bell.
Sir, and I think that's one of the things we might highlight on Monday as well. So how we have made use and been efficient with the areas that unfortunately were underutilized, and now we're maximizing it for the betterment of our kids. So great to hear. Any other comments, concerns, or clarifications needed on this? All right. Well, then I guess we'll go ahead and move to item 12, adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Reese.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right. Do we have a second? A second by Ms. Lazar. We'll go ahead and move for the vote because I'm sure there's no comments, concerns, or clarification needed. All right, voting is open. All right, we can go ahead and close the vote. All right, motion carries. Now 6:49 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.